After 50 days of silence and political obstruction, history is made. Arizona's first Latina Congresswoman, Adelita Grijalva, stands her ground. After weeks of obstruction, she signs the Epstein Files Petition and brings America one step closer to the truth they tried to bury. This is more than politics. It's about justice. It's about accountability. It's about power finally facing the truth.
Thank you all. Thank you to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus for organizing this. Thank you for all of you for standing by me during the last 50 days. 50 days is a very long time. And, standing through the last few weeks, through this obstruction in my swearing in, and as Latinas, Arizona's first Latina, Chicana member of Congress. Today is a historic day for Southern Arizona, for women, for Chicanos and Chicanas everywhere. We shattered the glass ceiling together. And I'm grateful to my community and to the leaders who paved the way. But this historic moment comes with a sober reality. My swearing in was delayed by 50 days, the longest in modern history. And let's understand very clearly that if I were a Republican, I would not have waited this long. If I were a man, I would not have waited this long. We all know that the rules are always different for women of color and people of color. And we have to fight against that. There is no way that this can ever happen again to anyone at all. We're going to push forward bipartisan legislation to ensure it, because we cannot allow this to happen to anybody again. For one individual to be able to silence 800,000 people, it's unconscionable. It's grosero. It's just not okay. And so, this representation is so important. It's important to me as the daughter of Congressman Grijalva, who served our community for 50 years total, 22 years in Congress. People in our community know what it's like to depend on a Grijalva. And for us to not have that representation was painful. But worse, and adding insult to injury, is when Speaker Johnson would placate and make misogynistic comments about what I should and should not be doing. They all know better than I do. If you don't have a budget, you can't do anything. And that's the situation that I've been in for the last 50 days. And so Speaker Johnson purposefully obstructed my swearing in by canceling vote after vote. And the Epstein Files discharge petition sat one signature short. With my signing, we move one step closer to the truth that they will try to deny, but that survivors deserve their day of justice, and the American people demand it. We also stand on the eve of another vote that shows how little Republicans understand working families. They've already passed a bill stripping health insurance from more than 15 million people. Now they're pushing one that will send premiums skyrocketing for 22 million more. These attacks fall hardest on vulnerable communities, especially Latino children, who rely on Medicaid and CHIP because their parents work jobs without employer-provided coverage. But the Congressional Hispanic Caucus understands what's at stake, and we will stand together to defend families, protect our democracy, and demand accountability from those who abuse power. And finally, my overwhelming election in Arizona sends a clear message. This nation, built by immigrants, strengthened by diversity, will choose hope over hate and leadership over chaos every time. That's right. We are here to build, not tear down, our shared future. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva stood before the nation, not just as Arizona's first Latina member of Congress, but as a living symbol of persistence, justice, and representation finally breaking through institutional barriers that have long held back women of color in American politics. For 50 days, 50, her swearing in was deliberately delayed. Think about that. That's not just a procedural hiccup or a scheduling issue. That's 800,000 Arizonans, citizens with families, jobs, hopes, and real needs left voiceless in the halls of power. And why? Because one man in leadership decided to make politics out of equality. If she were a Republican, if she were a man, she wouldn't have waited this long. And she said that plainly, and she's right. That double standard has been woven into the fabric of our system for far too long. But despite that obstruction, this moment wasn't just about finally taking the oath. It was about what came next, that single signature on the Epstein Files petition. With that, Adelita Grijalva didn't just mark her first official act in Congress, she brought the country one step closer to exposing the truth that powerful men have spent decades trying to bury. For survivors who've waited years for justice, that one act, one pen stroke, was a moment of validation. It said, "We see you. We're not letting this disappear." And let's be honest, that's exactly what accountability looks like. It's not just speeches and sound bites, it's using power to pull truth out of the shadows, no matter how uncomfortable it makes the people who benefit from secrecy. Grijalva reminded America that democracy doesn't work when some people get to decide whose voice counts and whose doesn't. She also hit something that too many overlook: the human cost of political games. When Speaker Johnson and House Republicans obstructed her swearing in, they didn't just stall a member of Congress, they silenced the needs of families in Arizona. Families who depend on affordable health care, on Medicaid and CHIP. And even as they stripped health insurance from millions, they had the audacity to pretend they were fighting for working people. Grijalva cut through that hypocrisy with clarity. Representation matters because lives depend on it. Her message was bigger than party politics. It was a promise that leadership rooted in justice, compassion, and truth can still win, even when the system tries to bury it. It's the spirit of democracy in action, a woman of color rising in a chamber that too often tells women like her to wait their turn. She didn't wait. She fought her way in and immediately went to work for truth and transparency. So today, as she said, we move one step closer, closer to the truth about Epstein and those who enabled him, closer to accountability for those who abuse power, and closer to a Congress that actually reflects the people it serves. This isn't just Adelita Grijalva's victory. It's a reminder that when we demand representation, when we vote, when we raise our voices, the system moves. Slowly maybe, painfully sometimes, but it moves toward justice. If you believe in accountability, in truth, in leaders who don't back down, then stand with her. Share this story. Talk about it. Because every time the powerful try to hide the truth, there's someone like Adelita Grijalva ready to sign her name and bring it to light. Don't just watch history happen. Be part of it. Subscribe, stay informed, and keep pushing for the truth.